Oh, thank you. What are you looking for? The other ones I just put up here because I was getting them out of your way. There you go. Looky, looky, Marco.
Hey, how's it going, James?
How's it going? He said. Oh. Go ahead and talk to him.
Oh, it's going very slowly and very painfully.
Well,
I feel like everything hurts.
I know that feeling.
Yes, you do. I can remember when you had your knee worked on.
Yeah.
But Janie's taking good care of me.
Oh, good. Good to hear.
Yes. She could probably get a job as a home care aide.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine why she'd want to, though.
4642.
Well, what I'm going to do is offer you that one for that ear, and I'll listen in this ear.
Okay.
I just can't hear him as well, even if I have my hearing aids in.
Okay, which ear is this for?
That's for your left ear.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I can't hear him talking.
Well, yeah, nobody's talking yet.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Melanie won't make it tonight.
Oh, okay. That's a 0. Kathy didn't hear the joke.
No, I guess I didn't.
I said that's a 0.
Oh, that's a 0.
Just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to turn my volume off and my picture,
Okay.
but I'm here.
Let's see. Melanie's not making it. We have
Would this work in this ear?
You can put it in that ear. You just have to set it in there differently. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing because this is my right ear one. This is where you're hearing out of. So
Okay. Well, when you move, it pulls it out.
right, yeah. So try it in that ear.
Okay, so that's where I'm hearing or that?
That is.
Okay, that's what I'm trying. And I'm going to have to find my brushes because I have no idea what I do. Had an overhead fan over here.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about changing my sweatshirt. I figured I was already missing part. Let me go ahead.
I'm gonna pull this out and put my hearing aids back in and see if I can hear well enough. Where are they?
Let's see.
I just took one out of your thing back there.
I don't know why I didn't get my thing.
I told you.
All right. I think
We're just missing Melanie, aren't we?
Oh, well, and I emailed Linda. Remember Linda? Why did her name just Linda? Gummit. Why did her last name just escape me?
You're too young for that.
I think of? I can't think of Linda's last name right now. It went right out of my head. Let's see. Maybe I can. Mascarenas. Do you remember Linda?
I don't.
Jinx, you remember Linda, right?
Probably if I saw her face.
Yeah, you probably remember. So she signed up. What's that?
I know Linda. Too.
Yeah. So she signed up to take the class, but I don't know if she. That's the only person I think we're missing.
Is
You,
this
you, you know her husband's name?
Are we still in the first section?
I don't think so.
'Cause I know Mascarenas.
Oh, She used to be a nurse.
No, he was Oldfield.
Oh, okay. No. Well, she used to be a nurse. I don't know what her husband used to do, but yeah. I sent her the stuff though, so well, we'll go ahead and get started. If I'll just kind of keep my eye out. Let me open the little chat thing too. So let me.
Do you have any idea which
I am recording, so that's good.
I'm going to use?
No, I don't.
Okay.
That needs to be.
Just let him sit there.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can reach
There
it.
we go.
But I put this over
Yeah.
here until we're ready
Mhm.
to use it.
So can everybody see this all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make
Well, I
sure I
can.
had the things set right.
Well, surely everybody that's watching can.
I thought I was doing so well, and then last semester, and then this semester it's been really terrible.
It's been fine.
Forgetting to record and all that stuff. Okay, so let's see, where were we? Let's see. If you recall, last week we kind of got to this point, and apparently my sandwich crumbs got on my paper. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, so there's a few more things that, and I keep turning to looking at this on my computer screen is a really great way of looking at it from afar without getting up. Because the camera is so far away from from the painting, and then I'm even further away from my laptop. Kind of squint. What I'm noticing about mine is that I've got a whole lot of the same value through here, and I need to add some shadows and things to this. And we need to do some lifting in these dark areas to add depth, so we end up with more things back in the background here. And then we'll also peel this tape off and finish up those trunks. So let's see, I've got trunks there, yeah. But we're also going to add a few more in there. So I need to kind of think about where these shadows should be in my trees, and kind of how I'm going to sort of paint those. Essentially, what I kind of need to do, and because I didn't, if you remember, if we look at the sketch, I didn't really plan that out too much. I was really more interested in the shadows on this road than anything, and I think I did myself a bit of a
It was still on. It's one of my favorite things.
disservice. So let's see here. So I want to do some stuff up in here where I've already got some shadows started. I mean, obviously those are really bright oranges, but they're slightly darker looking than that yellow. And so what I'm going to do is come in with some, like this back in here. I want it to be light, or lighter than this, but it shouldn't be as bright as that. I need to come in and just sort of identify which tree back in here, this stuff is behind like this and this. And so I'm going to take that mixture, and here I'll show you on my palette. It's that kind of rusty orange that I mixed last week using burnt sienna and Scarlet Lake and some of this permanent yellow orange. And I'm going to actually make that just a bit more brown, and then pull over. I have this darker brown, which is the burnt sienna with a little bit of the royal blue mixed in. And I'm going to take some of that. I don't have quite enough water there. And did everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to come back down in here and look at these shapes. So I kind of have a bit of a shape here that I can kind of see.
Flats that she's using right now. There should be several sizes in that green.
Pull this down so you can see it a little bit better. I have some shapes that are there, and I just want to kind of take advantage of those. So I'm going to come in just with the corner of my brush, and start to define that left edge of this group of trees here, just by pulling this slightly darker brown, orangey brown, I guess, over that shape. And then I need to define this right side of this group of trees. So I'm going to I'm just using the kind of very tip, the very corner of this brush. And if you didn't feel like using your flat brush, you could certainly do this with a round brush. So don't feel like you need to necessarily use the flat brush that I'm using. But this will help push these you know, that group of leaves back a bit. And if you feel like you have too much on there, I'm kind of thinking I might, but I may need to go back in anyway. But I'm going to lift some of that back just so I have a little bit of. All I'm doing is drying my brush out a little bit, squeezing it out, and then picking up a little bit of this water that's on there. And that's starting to push that back. Now, while that's still a little damp, I am going to switch to a round brush, just so it's a little easier. While that's still damp, I kind of have a little bit of spot in here where I want some more shadow and maybe some down here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of royal blue off of my palette. And I'm just going to, while that's still wet, I'm just going to kind of drop that in and let that sort of mingle with that orangey brown. And right now it's going to look almost too dark, I think, to everybody. I mean, it kind of does to me. But once it dries, it'll be actually pretty light still. I don't really like that shape that I've got right there. So I am going to kind of, change it up a bit. And actually, I kind of like that bled back into there a little bit more darkness. In fact, I feel like maybe this needs to be a little darker here. Add a little bit more dark in there and let that be down there. Now, all that is just royal blue. That is a lot more royal blue than water in that case. So that's starting to push those back. I also need some of this, I think, in here to be a little bit darker. And I already have that kind of rusty color there, but I think that I need a little bit of blue in there just to kind of give it a cooler, temperature-wise, a cooler shadow. I'm going to put this back up in the tripod thing. Tighten it down just so I can get it in and out easier. There we go. So I'm going to take a little bit of that royal blue again and just come in a few spots and start adding some cooler. In fact, actually, I'm gonna mix that royal blue with a wee bit of the Hooker's green, so it's a little more green blue. And I'm just gonna pull some of these darker shadows up in through here. It's gonna look like I'm putting a lot down, but then I'm gonna wash my brush out and just kind of use just water to move that paint around a bit. Same with over here. Just a little bit. So I'm just adding a little coolness to that extremely bright orange. Little bit more contrast to that. Maybe a little bit in here as well. Around this pine tree, just a little bit of a cool, of a cooler color to help drop the temperature just a little bit. And obviously, I don't want to stop on the edge of that trunk, so I want to bring that through. Soften that up there. Pull it down into this area. And then I think I want a little bit more cool down in this area. This is still real warm, even though I do have some coolness in there. So I'm just going to bring a little bit of that royal blue and quinacridone violet. Let's see, where did that go? Over in here, just because I have so much red, I want it to be cooler, but I also want it to kind of complement that a little bit. So I'm just gonna cool that down just a bit with that violet, that darker violet. Not everywhere, just kind of laying in some color to help push that back. And then I can even push some of this back because it's all punching forward. So I want to just knock it back just a bit by adding a bit of a shadow to the back side of that. Maybe there's some shadows up in here. So I'm going to pull some of that. Are you guys able to see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just pulling some of this lightly up into this yellow kind of scrubby, bushy area. And back down into here. This shadow here, I feel like that needs to be kind of. And then back in here, I think, like this tree is pretty bright even in the photo. I feel like I need to separate it a little bit more from this bunch of trees here. Particularly since we've kind of left, we're not really following the photo that closely. So I'm just going to add a little bit of dark around here. I'm going to use that same kind of purple.
Water.
Just kind of. And probably up in here, I'm going to knock that back quite a bit with that same kind of violet on top of that. The cool thing is you can see that other color shining, kind of peeking through. So I haven't gotten rid of it. I've just knocked it back a bit. Along here. Add a little bit more violet because I used that all up and only had blue.
Michael, I can't tell. Did you do the tree trunks last week or not?
No, we haven't done those yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still tape on there.
Oh, okay.
Right now I'm just trying to kind of finish up this foliage, push some of it back into space. A lot of this stuff, we want this bright here poking forward and pushing forward here as well, but these all look to be on kind of the same plane. So I'm trying to push some of them back. And basically I'm just I'm doing that with these darker purpley colors. I'm going to use a little pure quinacridone violet as I start to kind of get over in here. It's slightly warmer than the quinacridone violet mixed with royal blue, but it's still cooler than, say, the bright orange. Oops, got too much color on the butt of my brush there. That's all right. So I'm just going to kind of push some of this back. That push back a little bit, I think. We'll take some of that royal blue green mixture as well. Put that back into here. Lay a little bit down and then get it wet. Just to help push this stuff back a little bit in space. Now I have to be careful because if I'm not careful, I'll end up overworking it, and I don't want to do that. Lift that little bit of orange right there is kind of a weird shape. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good for that, and then just a little bit over here as well to kind of continue that down. I think I'm going to take some of this kind of purple blue. That's a little more blue than purple. Take some of that and push this area back here, back a little bit. A little bit of shadow on something. Maybe just a little bit of just quinacridone violet in this area. Help push that back even a little more. And then on down into here. Just kind of help you knock back some of that overly bright area that's so close to the edge of the paper. And it's a little hard to tell. This light kind of tends to glare. I still haven't found a spot to put it. Whoa, that didn't help at all. See what's going on here. There we go. Yeah, I just can't find a spot to put it where it doesn't glare too much, but can cause that to wash out while it's wet. If I do that. That's it. Yeah. So just kind of adding a little bit more variety to the color that we have going on in there, and then knocking some of this back so it's not all the same value. We have a little bit more mid-tone. A little bit of that quinacridone violet over in here help knock this whole. In fact, I'm actually going to pull that here onto there, just to help knock that whole section back a little bit more. Not like this line coming in sharp like that to the tree. Kind of wasn't paying attention when I did that, so I'm just going to soften that up just a bit. And just a bit more of that purple. Soften it. Yeah. Feel like that's working pretty good. Okay. Let's dry that real quick.
city. Probably quite drunk there. I did that a lot during the day while I was reading those magazines. And just back and forth.
Any questions so far?
No,
Okie dokie. Just checking. All right.
I didn't redo my whole thing.
Bet it's better than you think. So now we're going to do some lifting back in here to add a lot more depth up in there. So I'm just going to use my number 6 brush, and I'm going to just paint some, kind of trunk shapes, some basically vertical lines, semi-vertical. They won't all be perfectly vertical. So maybe I'm going to have one come in like that, like that. Maybe there's a double trunk there. There's going to be a trunk there.
Yeah.
You'll see it after I lift here real quick. It's probably hard to see as I'm painting them on. So there's like a few trunks. I'll let it sit for a second and then blot it up. And you can see now I've lifted a few trunks out there. Now I didn't quite totally get. I think this little bit dried up a little fast on me, so I'm gonna put some water there. There we go. I don't even mind that trunk is a little broken up, so I'm gonna anchor it a little bit more.
Maybe.
I accidentally missed some, and that's actually good. I'm gonna do that same thing here.
Right.
There we go. So I have a lot more trunks. I can do even some more. Maybe just really tiny ones. Maybe there's a little one there coming in. I didn't put enough water on there. Here and there. A couple more back up in there.
Do what? Yes, did. I didn't call Richard though.
So basically just lifting out some of this dark to add more texture. There's going to be a trunk there. Then I want some more over here, maybe kind of in at an interesting angle. Maybe this one will come up like that. The one next to it.
Yeah.
There we go.
You did?
So just think about adding more. I don't know. Can you guys see that all right?
Oh.
Like I need to really kind of go in. I'm just adding things where I feel like maybe there's a trunk that kind of a tree that kind of comes along behind that
It's probably less.
weird angle.
Well, see, they're.
Let's see for a second. Blot it up and then
Yes, it is. But that was about 1 or 2 years ago.
that kind of works.
That one too much the same.
Mhm.
Back up in here.
It's like
Couple little tree trunks.
yeah, do you think this where we can get that from where lessons go?
And it's okay if they're not super bright. It doesn't, they don't. They're going to be all. You can see even on some of these, they're really subtle.
I signed up for it, so go to email and he'll give you the
Or, you know,
new
if
address.
you should put that together.
Right now, he's finishing up this old piece, so he'll start a new one. And this one looks like a good one because it's kind of okay.
What else you need?
I'm starting to add quite a bit of texture.
Yeah, I was thinking we could have
If you feel like you need to, you can even spatter some paint, some water in there. Or if you've got a really nice spray bottle, you can use that as well. But I'm starting to like the way that's texture back there that is really
anything for you.
coming in because of that lifting we're doing.
Yeah, I think she's cut that for us. And I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to watch. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So probably the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Let's go ahead and peel our tape off.
He'll give you the address and you can go right on into class. I mean, you don't have to change, but you look at it, listen to it, and take it in. Keep the session,
I don't think it is.
Yes. I like this.
So these are going to stick out like sore thumbs until we actually get some color put down on them. But basically, the reason I saved them was just so we could define these trees as a little bit more in the foreground versus all that in the background.
Mm.
Yeah. Kind of think that I need a little bit more depth on this tree here, this pine tree. So I'm going to take a little indigo before I do anything else, and I'm going to put a little bit more shadow on this side, maybe in some spots up in here. I'm a little flat, so just adding some texture to that with a little bit of darker blue. I can even doesn't need to be a lot. I don't know, what y'all's look like, but you can always add more texture just by kind of using the tip and the side of my brush, both putting paint down like with the tip of it, and then also mostly with the kind of the side, little short, little random directional moves with the brush just to get that texture. Yeah. Not a whole lot of stuff, but just enough to kind of add a little bit more texture to the trees so they don't look quite as flat.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Love you.
Okay, so the trees, we know that the light source is coming from up here down. So we know that this side of the tree is going to be the shadow side. So what I'm going to do is actually take a tiny bit, because in my mind, that meaning these trees, at least these. And in my mind, they're going to be aspens. So I kind of want that blue, white trunk. That, well, side of bluish white trunk. I'm going to take a little bit of peacock blue, mostly water. This is going to be a really thin wash of that. If I get it on there a little too dark, then I can lift it back up. I'm going to come in with just that real light wash of, can you even see that I put something down? That's how light it is. Just a real light wash of that peacock blue. Barely putting a little color down on that. Every now and then I might grab a little opera just to give a little variation to that. Spots. Need a little bit. Gotta figure out a better. I wonder if I bear with me while I try something real quickly. Sorry. It's an experiment, but really hoping too high or too low. It's just all there is to it. Yeah, that's just not working. Sorry. Thought I had a solution here. It didn't work. Okay. What I need is a slightly shorter tripod than the big one, and a little bit taller than the little one. I don't even know if such an animal exists. All right. Okay, so we'll just go back to paint. Sorry about that. Just really wanted to try that. It suddenly occurred to me that it might work. So just a wee bit more of that pink in a couple of spots, opera, and then back to the peacock blue over in here. And it's okay if I miss that. You know, I got a little bit off in the leaves. That's all right. Just kind of layering this little bit of peacock blue down on this to help with that. A little bit too much now. Had too little and then got too much. Add some water, pick that up, pull that up into there. And back over here, I'm going to do the same over here. I think these are all just going to be small little aspens. And I kind of feel like what I should have done, I'm going to try it real quick. I don't like how long that one is now that I've taken that tape off. So I'm going to take a little royal blue and vernacular violet and bring this back over that a little bit. Just like that, just to push that back. Now, I'll probably always have a hint of that trunk sticking up through there, but that's okay. Doesn't really matter. I just didn't like how long that was. Then we'll go in and add just a little bit of the peacock blue in there. Even if it runs together a little bit, that's all right. And a little bit of that over. Dry this really quickly over here. All right, close enough. So now I'm going to take that same peacock blue, but in this case, it's going to have a bit of royal blue mixed in with it just because I want it not quite as bright. And I'm just going to kind of draw the shadow coming up the trunk. And it's just going to be a line right now. I'm going to kind of pull that up there and then kind of clean my brush. And then I can just kind of push that across. Or if you have an old credit card, in this case, it's a Best Western key card, you can kind of pull that into, just kind of hard to do it right-handed on the outside.
What color was that you were using, Michael?
Peacock blue with a tiny touch of royal blue in it.
Okay.
And all I'm doing is just adding kind of an abstracted let's see. My phone he's trying to call me and it just declined. There we go. I had to decline it. It was some telemarketer, I'm sure. So all we're doing here is just adding in a little bit of shadow. I put in a touch of watery peacock blue and then added a little bit more dark peacock blue. Kind of see kind of how that works.
Yeah.
I'm going to just come up here like this and do the same thing up here until I get to about here, and then it's just going to be a line up in there, and then maybe a few little branches that have been coming off here or something. So then maybe there's a little bit more right there. So I'm going to do this for the whole thing. I'm going to just kind of draw a bit of this shadowy side and then pull it. That's a little too dark, so I want to add a little bit more water. Just pull it over, or in this case, I'm pushing, but pushing it over into that light in kind of in a raggedy fashion. Now over here, I've got kind of a weird shape. So I'm going to actually take a little royal blue right here, and it gets a little thin too fast. I'm just going to add a bit of royal blue right in there to help just separate that from the tree behind it and make it a little bit bigger.
I'm thinking about going and taking them right now. Got them out. Because I'm beginning.
Well, I'm just
I'll be back. Okay.
adding a little bit of that. Because that's so dark, I'm going to have to, I need a little bit. And then I'll pull a little bit up into here, be a little bit there. So just kind of tree branches that pop out like so. And I'm extending this. I had that kind of weird little angle bit there where the tape had a pretty sharp line. So I'm just going to extend this shadow up into those leaves a little bit, so like you can see a bit of that trunk through the leaves. And maybe I want to take that real light, or sorry, real dark indigo right here, and I got like a little twig coming off here somehow. A few other little bits and bobs coming off. Just for so let's continue that on down. Peacock blue down here into this. If I feel like it here, I can take this plastic key card, push it with that. Maybe I'll try it left-handed. Trying something left-handed, and Melanie's not even here. That dark royal blue down in there as well. Up in there. This is kind of a weird, it's really pointy right there really quickly. So I'm just gonna widen it a little bit just by pulling that this way a little bit. That's a great way with this darker color. That's a great way to kind of fix a weird shape. I can even pull some of this out here, so it's part of that. Pine tree. It's real kind of abstract, not we're not putting a lot of detail into this. We're just kind of representing, we're just kind of giving the impression of an aspen tree in this case. Only because, well, that's actually what they were. And if I ever feel like I've gotten on too much, I can always come back in and lift a little bit of it with a Kleenex or something. If I want a little more control, or I can completely clean my brush and lift it that way too. Sometimes the Kleenex is a little easier to use if you just use like the corner Kleenex. And then I can come in with that really dark royal blue in a few spots. Just kind of finishing.
Well, it's actually a browning dish for the microwave. And when I thought, man, that would make me a great palette.
I want this tree. Want them there. Now it's finding a separate tree.
Do that, the hard brown.
After last week, I'm always paranoid not recording. So I keep checking, double check to make sure it's recording. A wee bit more that lightning dark blue.
Yes, ma'am. They all used felt nice.
In there.
Kind of get out of your lap there.
Wrong color.
Yeah, I use those for all sorts of things.
Little peacock blue again. Just a real
Well,
well,
not
not real thin, but
mine I got at the Dunkin' store.
I didn't get all the
There at the Dunkin' store now. But actually, they've got 2 or 3 now. I'd like to visit some of the new ones.
Kind of pulling it up.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to pick that up. I can't.
What?
That no, the Snickers.
Oh,
And she'll try to eat it.
The best
It's deadly for puppy dogs.
how I'm doing this.
Why, yes, for kitties too.
I didn't know that I had dropped it.
I think when you're just leaning over it, I didn't have it well placed. I just wanted to put it where you'd see it. So I think
I'm just kind of dotting it on.
any groans. Okay, when you do it again, I think you want to get a little more curve there, and you don't want that one. Looks like it carries all the way up to there.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's easy to set
a
in.
little bit more. Kind of what I did over here, the sort of skies, the weird, kind of sharp line.
Pine trees.
Actually, adding a couple more while we're
Yeah. Okay. But then,
I may want to add a little bit of some scrubby tree shapes. Not scrubby, but twiggy. Kind of little twigs and things kind of coming up.
Well, and see how he has that it's very irregular along there. But the cool thing is doing it over again.
Just really kind of a hint at tree bark looking stuff.
No. She says you guys are true doors. No,
I'm sure I'm super crazy about what's going on there, but
I'm not either.
it's there, so that's what
It's
it's.
easy to sit here and be a smart ass.
Let's see.
You're
Really,
not muted right now.
I can tell already that I
Why don't you tell me that to shut up?
kind of cover up that bit that broke up there. Always dries lighter. All right, so let's see. Little peacock blue with a touch of royal blue in it, just to make it a
Yeah,
slight.
the other people mute it themselves.
Pull that up.
Mhm.
That's definitely too dark. So now I'm going to add, clean my brush and just pull it around with water instead of. So really, the only thing on my brush, well, I picked up blue besides the blue that I picked up off the paper.
Tommy's not muted.
So, oops, that's the wrong one. Come back over here. This is kind of a little double trunk, so I'm gonna
Now who is that?
some of this
Tommy?
Mm-hmm.
here. Same with over here on this guy.
Maybe there doesn't seem to be a picture of it.
No. He tends to do his pictures way big. He's really pretty good at it, too.
You want some more twigs and things. That's too much. Too dark. All right. Not sure I really like this bit, but it is what it is. So what I made, well, some of that may be covered up later. What I think I can do is now add a little bit of permanent yellow to this. Make it look like it's just sort of peeking out behind some leaves. That's a little better. I like that. I want to add a few little shadows to and sharpen up some of these trunks back in here. So I'm going to add just a few little tiny shadows to some of these things. Just to kind of help them create that depth a little bit better. So I'm using some royal blue for that. And sometimes it's just simply drawing a wee bit of a line next to it, maybe a little bit, crooked line. It doesn't have to be super straight. Just sometimes it is just kind of a little bit of a dark edge on one side. A few spots. And again, I'm using royal blue, and it's just like some of those were pretty thick. I didn't think they needed to be that thick. And so I'm just adding a little texture back into that to simulate trunks. I don't know if you can see that real well, so I'm going to in on what I'm talking about. So I've just added just a little bit of a hint of lines to the edges of those, just to sharpen them up a bit, make them look not too much, obviously, but some of them look like they're a little more tree-like. And I think, aside from maybe coming in and adding some more twigs and things, I'm thinking this might be done. All right. Do you want to look at everybody's before we start the next one? How do you want to do that? I think this is pretty close to done. I might add a few more twigs and things here and there, but because I feel like I have this kind of clump of twigs there and not as many everywhere else. But other than that, what do you guys think? You want me to wait for you to catch up if you're behind a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Need to get going.
Yeah. I am going to add a wee bit of a something there. Probably if I, let's see if I have enough. Probably if I come in here with a little bit of that blue around the edge. Obviously, watch some guy. That kind of helped knock that back a little bit, and then that area. Yeah, just about out. Gotta remember to order that. It's really annoying.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah.
you can critique mine
All righty. Let me.
if you want to get started on it.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me. I was trying to. There it is.
Notice that I'm getting tricky. So here you do that. So I can keep my mouse. But this is really a good home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to be when I'm trying to, be here. But
Paint back here.
could be. Prop it on my fat little gut. Oh, it makes nice. It's like the shelf up here.
I was gonna pinch
I don't think that's Tearsford. Now Destiny's okay with it,
it.
but she just has so many weird little fears.
Well,
Bless her heart.
she was laying down at my feet last night, and I was petting her.
Yeah.
With my foot.
And yet tonight, then she's.
What?
Well,
The door is open, so you can go out.
they think it's 8 o'clock. And they're off by about
All
4
right.
minutes.
Sorry about that. I was trying to get something. Let's see where. Spotlight. Okay, Kathy, you want to?
All right, so how do I do that again?
Turn on your camera on your.
Okay. Well, now you just gone black. Hang on. Okay. Oh, shoot, hang on.
I think you got your microphone on too. Just.
I know. I can get it off. Let's see.
Pull it back a little bit.
Holy cow. Just a minute.
Little bit more. Pull it back a little bit more from the camera, and then to your left there. To your left, down just a skosh, and hold it right there. Perfect. Alrighty, let's look at this really quick. Of course, I have. The minute I try to do something, the mouse starts to act up weird. Alrighty.
Tacky and Missouri's is ours is my group.
There you go. All right, it's a little blurry, but it'll work. Share screen. I think that's Kathy. I think that's looking really nice. Yeah. One thing I was thinking about on mine, now that I've been looking at it and I can kind of see a little bit on yours too. What we might, and I'm thinking about doing this on mine too. What we might do is knock back a few, like paint some kind of shadow. Now that our trunks are kind of dry, we might come in with, and this is going to be way too dark, but like put a wash of dark over that bit, and then maybe like some there and there.
Okay.
And maybe there's a little bit of dark in that area, just to help break up some of that, just to push to help break up that really bright light. You could even do some on some of these little short guys back in here. So, and it maybe not quite as much as I did on that second one. Of course, I didn't get a new layer, but let's see. Let me just undo that in case I screw up. Yeah, just so there's some cast shadows on this. And you can kind of make them up. I mean, they don't totally have to be, maybe there's a bit of a shadow like that and a bit of a shadow like that. And obviously this is way darker than it needs to be. Photoshop is harder to paint with than watercolors, but maybe, little there, maybe something going across like that or like that. Push that back a little bit. And same with, like any of these, just pick a few spots where maybe some shadow from the branches, from the leaves and stuff is going to catch on these branches.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of look for opportunities throughout that to do that. But other than that, I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, maybe a cheese stick.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
I agree, Kathy. I think you did a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Amazing.
Quite lovely.
Oh, I don't think amazing, but thank you.
It's really quite nice. It's really, really, really nice.
Hey, thank you. All right.
Yeah. Who wants to go next? Anybody?
No.
All
Not
right.
after seeing Kathy's.
Add her going first.
Everybody's like, nah, I'm good.
Well, I guess I'm caught up. If you want to look at it.
In front of.
Okay.
Michael, I am reading mine because my second one is always better.
Oh, okay. So, Tommy, you wanted to show yours then?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if you can see me.
Oh no, yeah, you need to turn your camera on.
Okay. Can you see me now?
And like the opposite of Verizon, right? Or different, however that worked. Let's see.
What's it?
What I need to do?
What's that?
What I need to do? Back, forward, up, down.
Just kind of twist it to your right, down on your right a little bit. Yep. And then over to your right just a skosh. Perfect. Right there. All right. Alrighty here. That really annoyed me. Why did that not grab that? Oh, that's why. Grabbed the wrong one. Once again, here we go. Share screen.
Walk.
I think this is,
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
yeah.
I'm walking down that lane.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like this. I think, a few little cast shadows on the trunks like I was talking about doing on mine and Kathy's as well will help kind of anchor, particularly kind of maybe some down in here, and then it'll kind of help anchor those trunks. That's what I was noticing on mine, that they were popping forward, and I'm seeing the same thing. Yeah, just a few little cast shadows on some stuff, like where this shadow's coming in here. Maybe it's kind of casting across the bottom of these a little bit over in in this area here.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's really looking nice. I might put just a bit, just to help push this area right here back in space just a bit. Take this, let's see, maybe something like this kind of orangey color that you've got there, and kind of lightly, let's see if I can do this right. You know, just kind of put a wee bit of a wash on that back in there to help. This is terrible in Photoshop, by the way. Let me try that again. I got an idea.
I wonder how I do that.
But just kind of
How we
paint
do
some of
like
that over. Let me
attach the
just
camera.
pull up the passkey down. Just to kind of help push that whole area back, space a little bit more.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, kind of that orangey color, maybe some of this darker orange that you got there as well.
I can find it. I mean, it's around here somewhere, because you know me, I never fill anything on it.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like the road just kind of goes right there and stops instead of keeping on.
Yeah, so I think that'll help push that back. You could even pull some of this purpley stuff up in here just lightly down in there, so it feels like there's something still going around, but it's kind of in shadow. And it'll help push it back just a bit. But other than that, I think this is looking really nice. Very well done. I love the tree shapes that you got going on back here and here. Actually, everywhere. That's really nice. I really like this, you know, kind of tree here. That's a really cool. Good job. Yeah.
What do you think about the white area
I see.
Oh,
left
up
at the top?
Like
Because I know you tend to fill the whole paper.
I do tend to fill the whole paper. You know, my mom had a
something
different theory on that. She didn't always do that.
more
Well, I
definition.
And sometimes it's okay to just let it drift off into nothing. And
I don't get the
you know,
blue
just
tree.
put a mat on it.
All I see is eye,
Add a little bit of
nose,
that.
mouth.
Not
back up in there,
blue tree. It's
where
kind
the or however you know the mat may be even up further. I don't.
it's like just background.
So-
That's not a tree.
So I don't mind that so much.
It's
If
supposed
I
to
were
be
going to
kind
do
of a
that, I
split
might lighten.
fold.
Yeah.
I might lift some of this blue up here.
Blue tree.
Mhm.
See how dark that is right at the edge.
But I
Right.
have had
Put a little water on that and see if I can lift some of that back up, just so it feels like it blends in with the rest of the.
Right.
I don't
Okay.
care for this because
And,
that's
and works a little bit.
it's supposedly
better with the
shadow,
way-
I
the way
guess.
it
Of this
So you can either do that, or you could go in. Excuse me, I'm sorry. You could go in and
And I really like that.
make
tone
this
for
the top of the
that.
trees if you
Mhm.
want, or you could,
Not
you know, you
quite
could
in the
go in
right
and
place.
just continue this tree
I
color
don't-
all up
yeah,
into
I
there,
get it, but
or you could make this, you know, the top edge of trees and put in more sky.
I'm
Or,
going to be equally critical
Okay,
of anything I do. I mean, and I'm not
got a
being
few
critical, I'm
options
just pointing out what I.
but I don't
see.
mind the leaving that bit sort of unfinished and sort of that gives it that kind of mysterious look that, you know, makes people finish the story for themselves. So
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
Well, he's done a good job in that respect.
All right. Well, with that, do we want to start the next one, or does anybody else want me to look at theirs? I'm going to take that as a start the next one.
Please start the next one.
So I haven't had a chance to draw this out on my paper, so I'm going to share my screen again. And first, we'll did I get that? You're looking at this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't combine them in the sketch because they just seem to get so small. But you can see, maybe actually, let's try a second. So this is what is it? Ojo Caliente. About the same size, but I kind of changed it up a little bit. There is a pine tree. You can see I drew one right here. The things but I didn't. I didn't want to fiddle with these rocks. So I don't have them in my sketch. I really simplified this, and really I was just kind of looking at, okay, there's an interesting dark right there. This entryway's got a nice dark. There's some darks here, which I didn't finish out on this post, but that's okay. But I liked this tree here, but I needed it to be further in. So I moved it further in because, it's my painting. I can do that. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to deal with this window. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that it's cracked open like that, but I don't know. That doesn't really add anything to it. And I can't remember if this is a really deep doorway. I think this is a doorway right there. There's a little path behind this tree that kind of goes in there. And I believe there's a path that goes up into here. These are all little casitas that you can rent, I think, if I remember. So there's like a doorway here. There's a doorway here. So there's a bunch of doorways into this thing. And I can already tell that my perspective is a little off on this sketch, but again, it's just kind of planning where I kind of want some of the stuff to fall. I also felt like I didn't like this shape of this hill back here. So I kind of flattened it out, and I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to push it back in space as well. It's going to be further. It's going to be further away from the building. In actuality,
it's probably one of those damn scam calls.
But I feel like in order to give us some space, I want to move it back. So you can see I've kind of simplified it. It's not quite the hump that this one is. I really simplified that out. And then I added a few more trees over here just because I felt like I needed some, partially to give myself something to break. I have it hinted at here, although it's angled incorrectly. But there's going to be a bit of a shadow cast from maybe this tree or a tree that's over here that you can't even see. So that's kind of the changes I made. Plus it's hard to see all, there's a register here and that's not really important. So I took it out. I do need to deal with this perspective on this little porch cover because I did a terrible, terrible job of drawing it. But it's enough information to kind of give me an idea of what I'm thinking. I have a little bit of a cast shadow here, even though it was a pretty kind of it wasn't exactly overcast, but it wasn't, it was that's the word I'm looking for. It's kind of a hazy day. There is a shadow, and this shadow appears to go all the way across to there, but I'm not convinced that that's actually what that's doing. But I could be wrong. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how far I want this shadow to go. Right now I have it kind of coming down here, but I don't really like it cutting that window in half. That window needs to, I think, I didn't like how close it is to this little, and I know why it's like that, but I wanted it moved out into the middle of the wall a little bit more. Then there's this other window here, and I don't really have them lined up, but that's okay. I mean, they don't necessarily need to be, these are all kind of lined up perfectly if you look at that. Um, these are not. Well, I even forgot to put that window in here. I think I probably will put that window back in, but it looks like I forgot to, which may solve my breaking. I still feel like it's going to need some cast shadow on this bright light area here, just to break that up. So even though I'm going to put that window in there, I'm going to keep that shadow there. It's funny what you've noticed that you've forgotten to draw after you sketch something. Obviously, but anyway, so I'm going to get those. I do kind of feel like these kind of need to line up. These two are on the correct level, but I don't think this one here is. I think that needs to.
That's weird.
I think that needs to. What am I looking for here?
I think I'm going to draw mine a little different because that it's like that wall is just there for no good reason.
Where'd it go?
Right.
I think it needs to come up a little bit here, just to make that look right. And then this, I can see,
is rigged against Joe Biden.
Needs to
Can't let undecided voters believe Trump.
kind of flatten out a little bit. And this needs to straighten up a little bit like that. So just a few minor tweaks on my sketch that I need to do. So while, do you guys want this up? Do you want the photo? Or would you?
I want your sketch up.
Okay. Can you guys see it okay in this double kind of thing? Or? Yeah.
Yes. I want both of them.
Okay. Okay. So I'll do that. I'm going to pull up my, I'm going to get a new piece of paper out because obviously I forgot to do that before class started. And tape down another piece of paper and then sketch it out real quick.
Can't let undecided voters believe Trump's dominance.
Alrighty. I think Joe's had a sale on this Arches paper going on, by the way. Oh.
I think it ended up over there.
Everybody's interested in that.
Who had a sell on the paper?
Cheap Joe's.
Okay.
I think it's still going on.
Is there any way you could make the sketch larger?
Possibly.
Thank you.
Let's see. Well, is there a way I can? Boom. Oops, wrong way. How's that?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay.
It's those section.
Sorry. That popped up on me and I did not want it to. Yeah. I got the name right. All right. Let's get this drawn on here.
Are we seeing the complete picture there on the right, or is it cropped?
I think it's pretty close. Let's see here.
The pine tree that you moved over is just very visible. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's. I moved it over. You can just barely see part of it right here. And then I don't think there. Yeah, oops. That's pretty much the edge right there and right there.
Okay.
It just looks cropped because it's right on the. Let's see if I can. There we go. One of the things that was bugging me. I just realized one of the things that's bugging me is I feel like part of the problem is that I got the scale wrong. So if I were on this one, this really needs to be kind of up here more. So this tree would even, I don't know, come up into there. And maybe this window would be a little different. I don't know. Maybe not quite that high, maybe somewhere in there. Nice thing about a sketch, though, is you can always change it in the painting. I mean, really all this is to draw it out and figure out, you're always going to be kind of messing with it a little bit to figure out how the relationship and all the shapes work.
Everybody better stay healthy so we can stay healthy so we can get together. Hopefully we'll clear all this. Keep it pretty safe, you know, especially. Oh, yeah, well, I found it. It was laying outside. Oh, that's not the picture. So it was laying upside down in here. Ooh, I don't know what it is. Yeah, and I think they refinement. No, we finally have time. I want to look into that tree and see what she was eating. I think there's the reason. Because she was eating something up there and I called her to come in. I told her she didn't need to be eating trash under the tree.
Here it is, look at it from a distance. Well, the aspen trees.
How in the world did I?
Cutouts, the dark and shadow. And I'm going to
Yeah.
try. It's a good thing to keep one separate.
I'm gonna take that out.
There's some damage. There. There's that. But there's here. And it actually goes below that. And it's smaller. You think it got that way too. And get these lines the way they need to be. So you can stop worrying about the windows and doors. Because it's like that door. I think I'm going to leave that out. Windows. But right now, if I don't move, right now, spot on my chair. Okay, come on. Get close enough. Where's that snake? Come on, let's have a screen.
Huh. This is taking me so long. I'm struggling a little bit with perspective today. Only I don't do too bad, but today is.
we're gonna work this out, so we change the way in which we have more transparency when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to most don't like it, but we have to have a system where people are held accountable. Violence is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate. These are the protests. When they burn down and try to burn down your stores and kill people in their rallies, it's going to be the 2000. Come on, now after you say this, I'm going to promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege with critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training, and do you believe that this is racism? I ended it as racist. Complaining they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane. It was a radical evolution that was taking place in our military.
Something like that. I don't know.
And you know it, and so does everybody else. And you know it. You are a human person. You had no status as an ordinary person. People who pay people hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Well, I struggled with the perspective, but
Well, I've been struggling a little bit with it today too. I don't know what the deal is, so that's okay. I mean, it happens.
You don't get the responses in Zoom near like you do in person.
I don't. That's that's a frustrating thing.
Well, I'm ready when everybody else is.
Okay.
I may never be ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Ooh, all right. Let's see here. All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm taking my marbles and going home. No, I'm kidding. And I will. Let's see, is that right? That's right. Yeah. Everybody see that?
Yes.
All right. I'll just kind of come down in here. Some of these lines are a little light, but that's okay. Kind of. I was really struggling with this for some reason. So if y'all were too, don't feel bad. It happens. Okay, so let's see here. I'm thinking I'm going to start with the kind of lights. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I kind of ended up making this a little bit bigger, and I ran out of space over here. So this tree ended up being in front of, I'll share my screen a little bit for a second. This tree here ended up being in front of all this sort of stuff. And I simplified this little spot here. I just went ahead and decided that was just all one thing. Hang on a second now. That's I decided that this was all one sort of level that came down. I kind of switched that up a little bit, so it's just a little jigger of the building just sticks out from it. And of course, then I put that window. So I did change that up just a little bit, simplified all this. May even totally get rid of. I may end up covering that whole thing up with this tree and not even worry about that. Because really, this is kind of the interesting area to me. This stuff is all just supporting this main entrance. I do have kind of a secondary area of interest here, but I'll probably have to push that back a little bit. Well, I'm going to have to decide, and I think that this is kind of where my main area of interest is going to be. We'll see as the painting progresses. How that, okay, so I do think that I'm going to kind of start in this, this kind of foreground area. I'll probably hint at that color back there, but I'm not going to put a whole lot of work into it. So I'm going to start off. I don't have very clean water anymore. I'm going to start off with a little, and basically I'm going to paint all of this, except for maybe this, because I want that to be a little bit darker, and I don't know that I need any of the yellows and oranges that I'm going to have coming through. But like all of these sort of front face bits or planes are going to all kind of be the same, kind of the same value for now. So I'm going to start with a little permanent yellow deep. If you wanted to start with lemon yellow, you could, or some other light, very, very light orange. And I'm just going to kind of come in and kind of hit that a little bit. Just putting down a little bit of color. And then I'll come over here. Following along there and there. Differentiate different planes with another wash. And now I'm going to switch over to a little permanent yellow orange, which is that brighter orange. That may be a little bit too much for this first wash. I'm going to pull some of that down into there. I'm going to try not to get it in some of those spaces. If I get a little in there, that's okay. Probably should have done a section at a time, but that's all right. If I work quick, I can get this before it dries too much. And then as I get into this pine tree area, you know, this foreground area there, I can kind of just overlap it a little bit. Just pull this down. I think I want to drop in a little opera. I'm going to get a little of that on my brush. And maybe opera in some spots, just really lightly. More water than paint. And then if I feel like it's a little too dark, too much, I can add more water. I need to continue to work these edges down. So I'm going to pull in a little Scarlet Lake, I think, down in here.
That's one I kind of picked up after you started using it.
Too much water. Scarlet Lake kind of down in here.
Hey, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what's the color you start out with? You mentioned deep yellow, then you mentioned lemon yellow.
Oh, I started out with permanent yellow deep, but if you don't have permanent yellow deep, you can use like a lemon yellow or either very light orange or medium lemon yellow. If you had like Indian yellow, that would be a good one. Or something like that. It's similar. Yellow, actually, I don't know if you can see that on my brush or not, but it's very similar. It's just a real light orange. So, in fact, I'll use a little of that over here. So that's Indian yellow. It's a little bit darker than the permanent yellow deep, but then once you add a whole lot of water, it's very, very similar. Put some of that in there. So yeah, so that would work. Anything like that. Some yellows and oranges. Let's see. Put that down. I'm not gonna paint this. I'm thinking I'm gonna do like the wood treatment, just a wee bit different than what's in reality for this building. So I really like kind of that Taos Santa Fe blue trim kind of look. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull this stuff down in here. I'm not gonna really go down on top of that stuff because a lot of this stuff is gonna be lighter. A lot of this foreground stuff is going to be lighter up there, so I'm not going to go real dark yet with this first wash. Pull some of that. It's just going to be very, very light. And to be honest, I probably should have started with this foreground. That's all right. It's more play around. It'll all work out in the end.
Michael?
Yeah.
Jinx here.
Yeah.
I've had as much as I can sit.
Okay.
It's been fun though. I'm glad I'm back joining you.
Yeah, it sure was nice to see you. And
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you next week, maybe.
Yeah, planning on it.
Awesome.
Especially if Janie's here to keep me on the right track.
There you go.
Have a good one now. Y'all have fun.
You. Good night. All right, so there we go. We've got kind of that first wash kind of laid in there. And if it's not perfect, it doesn't have to be. Hopefully it's a real light wash, very little paint, a lot of water. I may add a little bit more water to some spots, see if I can get any interesting textures to show up. But if not, that's okay.
I love it.
Just a little bit more of that. All right. Let that dry. I'm sort of picking up some of this excess that I've got down here so I don't get too sharp a line at the bottom yet. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of squeezing out my brush and picking up some of those extra little puddles and then softening these edges over here. That's all this is, just picking up some of that excess so there's not a super hard line there. If there's a wee bit of a line, it's fine, but I don't want too much. Let's see. Get that kind of centered a little bit better. So I'm going to dry this real quick. Dry anyway. Mostly dry. Big old smear on my glasses. Couldn't figure out what was on the paper. All righty, so as soon as I get this smear cleaned off my glasses, we'll kind of start on some of this foreground. Have you ever seen the movie Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox? There's a scene in there where he's helping this woman. He's the town doctor briefly because he ran into the judge's fence and the judge made him serve as the town doctor to pay for the fence. And he's helping this older lady with glasses, and she keeps seeing spots. And she's like, they're there. No, wait, they're over there and over there. And he takes her glasses off and cleans them and then puts them back on. And she goes, I'm cured.
I remember that.
It was kind of funny.
Saw that movie, but I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start off, again, we're going to start off real loose on this foreground. I do have some different types of things sort of sketched in here, and I may be thinking about color placement. So I have kind of this, yucca-y looking shape here, maybe another little bit of that over here, and, or over here or something. But this is just kind of like chamisa and different kind of bushy things. So really it's just going to be very loose. Again, very loose, very similar to this wash. And I'm going to start off, in this case, I'm going to start off with a little lemon yellow. And in some spots, and then so I'm going to put a little of that here maybe. And this is, again, just real loose lemon yellow. Maybe I'll put a little more over in this area. And then maybe a little permanent green number 2 or number 1, which is that real light. So if you have a real light green, I could even mix a little bit of it with the lemon yellow to make it even a little lighter, and just lay down some of that maybe down into this area. Just different color. Maybe there's a little bit over here. Permanent green number 1. I feel like I want a little opera down in there. I'm going to pick up some of that. Maybe some sort of cat hair on there. In the photo, there's like a red bush thing up here, but I'm not too concerned with that. Maybe it'll, I'm moving it down in this area or something. So add a little bit of that down in here. And this is all just going to run together. Let's see. Over here, maybe it's a little orangey kind of thing going on. Some spots. Maybe a little more orange down in here. Just real loose, placing color, letting it blend in together on its own without really blending it, just touching it through that paper and to the puddle on the paper and letting it do its thing. I'm gonna put a little more yellow up in there. I feel like maybe that'll be a nice contrast later. Same with up in here, a little more yellow. And in there, that was lemon yellow, but it kind of, because I had whatever else was in there. And I'm going to overlap a little bit up into the other colors. Let's see. Let's go back to some of this really light green kind of over in here. Plopping it down on there, really loose. The goal is to just get some color on the paper and not really care too much about shape or any of that. Maybe I'm going to add a little Scarlet Lake over it. So if you have like a kind of a orangey red, you can add a little of that in some spots. Give it a little change in color. Let's go back to some of this permanent yellow deep. Add a little of that. That seemed like an awful lot that I added, but that's all right. Some there. It'll dry much lighter. A little more in there. Yeah, just some color down on the paper. And then I'm going to come back in and kind of pick up some of that excess water and color down there, so I don't get a really weird pattern right next to the bottom. I mean, if I get some weird patterns up in here, that's okay. Let's see. Maybe I'll add a little quinacridone. A couple of spots. See what happens with that. A little bit much there. Kind of add some water to that. Start. Not overly concerned with the shapes that I've drawn on there. I can pick those up later once this first layer dries, this first glaze, if you will. Pick that up again. Put some color in there too, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like having that little bit of white. So right now, I mean, this is all pretty much one value, but that's all right. Let me dry that real quick. Awesome. Man, I think I need to buy a new bed. My shoulder's been killing me. I think my bed's dying. It's not sleeping. My dad just recently bought a new bed. He got a super fancy thing. Lifts up and changes pressure.
Does he like it?
So far, it's a wee bit out of my price range, but
Yeah, I hear you.
What kind is it? Sleep number?
I think it is a sleep number. I think it's one of their new ones. They used to have one that neither my mom nor my dad really liked. It was a sleep number, and it was a king size, and it was split in the middle. So they always felt like it was spreading apart, and they would slide down into the gap between them. So my dad got a king size again, which I was like, well, you don't necessarily need a king size anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to sleeping on it. And I was like, well, that makes sense. But this one's connected, but it like at the head, it's split apart a little bit somehow.
Well,
And
maybe he's thinking about getting a girlfriend, you know?
hey, I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, really.
But yeah. All right. I think now I'm going to add in a few kind of areas of these darks. I could go in also and think about this tree, but I kind of want to hold up. Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I kind of want to hold off on that for a second. So I'm going to just kind of go in and figure out where. That's the ramp right there. Like this section is going to be kind of dark. I'm not going to worry too much about that. If this tree doesn't totally cover it up, I'll just go in and sketch in a little bit of dark there. But like this little alcove thing is going to have some dark in it. I'm not going to worry about this piece of wood that's going across there. I'm also not going to worry about the wood here in the front, but I am going to get this dark here. I'm not going to worry about the door yet because again, I'm gonna do, even though you can't really see the door in the photo, I'm gonna kind of make sure that we know that's the entrance. So I'm gonna quickly lay in some of that. Let's see, is this drying up? Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna start with a little quinacridone magenta, just by itself for the most part. There is a touch of that blue stuff in there, but that previous mix of quinacridone and violet and the royal blue. But I'm just going to kind of pull that in here. And I'm using this round brush just because it's a little smaller. The space isn't super huge. I'm going to move to royal blue, kind of that up into there, get it to be together. Maybe go into a little bit of the royal blue and Hooker's green. Mostly blue, but touch of that green kind of down into here. And then I can kind of think about the shape of this bush down, the scrubby stuff down here at the bottom. I think I'm going to drop in just a wee bit of opera at the top here. Maybe there's a bit of a reflection of light bouncing off of something. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to drop that in there and let it kind of displace some of that. That color up there, if it will. Sometimes it does and works really well, and then other times it quite what I want to use. So let's try. There we go. That's good. There. And if I don't like it once it's dry, I can always put another coat, another layer. And then, so like there's kind of a dark up in here. I don't need a lot of detail. I don't need a lot of color change. I think what I will do is take a little royal blue and Hooker's green. And then just a hint of the quinacridone magenta and make kind of a darker neutral back up in here. So it's just going to be kind of a dark shape back up in here. That's the top of that, or the underside of that little porch cover thing. Got that going kind of in there. And again, not a lot of detail, but I'm kind of hinting at the fact that maybe there's a little wooden extension thingy popping down there as a support or something. But again, not super important to get a lot of detail. And then I'm going to use this same color over here, kind of in this area for this little bit of dark. I don't want this to be too dark. So like even over here, there's a lot of water in there because I am going to put a little bit of a door detail in there. So I want to start off with a bit, even though it's a dark, I'm not going to get it overly dark yet. So it's just going to kind of, in fact, I'm going to pick some of that back up right there. So, and that's really just there to kind of remind me that there's a little alcove here. And then I'm going to just kind of shape the top of these things there. Just putting in that first layer, that first glaze of dark, and then I can come back in and really tinker with that, sharpen up some of those edges. I'm going to go ahead and kind of pull a little bit just to kind of remind myself that I'm going to have a bit of a cast shadow on it. And I know it doesn't look like we've done a lot, but we're making progress. I think I am going to start this tree. Maybe I'll do these two over here too, just to kind of get them laid in. So I'm going to switch. For the first part, I'm going to switch to my number 6 just so I can get a nice little pointy bit. And I just realized that this tree and this tree are really similar in height. So I want to kind of switch that up real quick and change it a little bit. So I'm just going to make this one just a touch shorter. And the only reason I'm drawing it on there is just because it's easier if I know that I kind of thought it out. There we go. Okay, so let's start off with that blue-green. And basically, I'm taking that gray that I mixed, and I'm just adding a whole lot of Hooker's green to it. So I get a nice kind of blue-green, and I think that's what I'm going to start off with. And I'm just going to come up here and make a nice little point, and then just start pushing and pulling this color back and forth. Scribbling. I really don't have a better word for it. I really am kind of just scribbling. I'm using both the point and the edge and the side of the brush. Let's see, I need some more paint and water up in here. I think I'm going to switch to a slightly bigger brush. I'm going to switch to that 8 round now, pick up a little more of that blue green. Keep that going for a bit. But again, just kind of making this abstract-y kind of tree shape. Just now I'm going to switch to royal blue, I think. And I'm going to start off down here with a little of that and then work my way up into the rest of that. And let's see. I may have to go in and add a little more of that building. We'll see. More paint. And you can see not a lot of detail in this tree, just scribbling. I'm going to move back to this green, I think. Here. That was feeling a little too blue. And perhaps it's a blue spruce, but perhaps not. Let's see. Let's go in with a little royal blue and that quinacridone magenta. Just both, you know, a lot. It's going to be a lot bluer than. Drop a little of that up in there as well. Get it to kind of run together. And then as I get down here, I have to kind of start thinking about the edge of any of these bushes and things. So I'm kind of digging some of the shapes that I've got here. Let's see. Go back to some of this Hooker's Green and Royal Blue mix in here. Drop this down. Feels like a good spot to kind of end that tree. Drop a little more water in, let that kind of do its thing, making shapes and different things. And as you know, as before, this will dry a bit lighter than what. I'm not going to worry about that other. Well, you know, I do want to kind of. I think I'm going to try a little Scarlet Lake up in there, maybe just for a little bit of a highlight, just to pop that in there like so. Yeah. To run down in there. Leave it more. That over. Just kind of experiment with that on your own, you know, how that color change works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A little bit more down in there. Let some of that displace some of the other stuff. Yeah. Building up a little texture there, just where it's dried, plopping a little bit down in a different shape that's wet, so it'll dry with that different shape. Mixture. Pop a little bit more in there. All right, real abstract loop kind of tree. I think I will go ahead and start on these over here as well. I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I have trouble painting trees up against an edge. So in this case, I didn't do it a lot, but you can see I actually pulled my brush strokes off the onto the tape area there, just to mimic where the edge tree, just so I could kind of figure out where the edge of the tree would be, so it wasn't perfectly straight and then pointed. You know, it kind of comes out at a semi-irregular triangle, you know, triangle shape. Okay, I think over here I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to actually start off with a little Scarlet Lake at the top, just to see. I kind of remember doing this one time and really liking how that turned out. So I'm gonna switch back to my number 6 brush. I'm gonna come in here with a little bit of this first, just to try something out. That's that Scarlet Lake. Any kind of orangey red will work. I gotta make sure that I have enough water in there to run. So. And then now I'm going to switch back to that that Hooker's Green and Royal Blue mix, which is going to seem odd, but it should work. Pull that up into there, maybe drop up into the actual puddle of the Scarlet Lake. You will get kind of an interesting. So I'm going to keep pulling this tree down. I think now I'm going to switch back to the number 8. And I'm going to switch to just a wee bit more. It's still got a little bit of green in it, but it's more royal blue than green. The other one was more green than royal blue. It's hard to tell, but there is a little bit of green still in that. That's going together. Pulling this down. I'm going to clean my brush out really quickly and drop some water, just some clean water up into here, see if I can get that to run down a little bit more. I may need to actually come in with a little bit more of that Scarlet Lake and drop it in here to get it to run down in there. It didn't seem like it was. If I pick this up just a skosh as well. Now it's running. That's better. Okay, back to this kind of royal blue. Maybe I'll throw in a little violet down in here. Didn't look like there was much in there, but there was a little bit. And we're just I'm gonna pull this over in front of the building, so I won't have to worry about too much of that. Just helps me where I get, you know, if you ever have a picture, or even if you're painting in plein air, and there's something that's kind of confusing, you can always choose not to paint it. And that's kind of what I decided. Let's go back to this green. Finish up with some of that Hooker's Green. Get a bit more with a lot of water. Pop it down right there so it continues to run down. And this tree down in front of this kind of scrubby stuff. Over in front of the house. Pop a little more of that green up in there. Run a little bit more. And then there's yeah, that's not looking too bad. Before that dries too much, I'm going to go in and start the other tree. And I think for that one, I kind of like how that Scarlet Lake on top. This one, you know, being maybe behind, you know, back over a little bit. Maybe it's got something in front of it, so it's not picking up as much. So I don't mind that. But I really do like how that worked, and I'm going to try that again. So again, I've switched back to my number 6. It's a fairly small tree. I'm just going to plop in a little of this Scarlet Lake. Way down in there, maybe I can get it to run a little bit better this time. And then we'll switch to that kind of there's green blue mix down in here. A little next to that. Let's get that. And if we lose a little bit of that front tree and where it connects, that's okay. And then this is going to come down kind of around the edge of this tree, this house, because it's you know, this tree in my world is a hen house. Maybe just a wee bit. I think because I want that fairly dark back up in there, I'm gonna add a little indigo back in here just to really push that back. That little bit. That'll help push it back by this foreground tree. Really give you some good contrast against the top of the building there. Help define that really nicely. That also has, and it may work out. I mean, right now this is fairly light. All of this is fairly light, but this is suddenly giving us that kind of last little bit of light at the end of the day on top of those trees, and I really like that. So that may end up informing how my my painting looks, and you know how this turns out. Just that little choice that I made there, without really thinking about it, other than just wanting to try it. It has that the sun's setting, and that's the last little rays of sun that are going to hit those trees. So we may be able to play some of that up in this area as well. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Is it really 10 to 9?
yes,
Oh man. This is what happens when you start painting and having a good time.
exactly.
Well, I'm assuming there's not a lot to really look at yet. Do we want to hold off on doing until next week, or do you want me to look at yours before? It's up to you guys.
Will you post this whole, this part of the class?
I'm going to post everything.
Okay, because I don't know, I just struggle with pines, and so I did the first one, didn't like it, so I haven't done the two you've done over there. So I'd like to kind of practice, maybe, before I did those.
Sometimes this takes a while to download, and then I get busy at the end of the week, which is why last week I really told myself I was going to have it uploaded by Friday, and of course that didn't happen. So this week I actually put it on my calendar to upload the video. So we'll see if I am successful in that attempt. So it's up before the week. I know you guys probably, if you're like me, like to paint on the weekend. So I'm going to try and do that. So it's up much sooner than the last time.
Okay, that would be great.
Cool. So yeah. Well, if there's nothing else, I mean, does anybody want me to look at theirs, or you guys feel like
I'm good.
kind of wait till next week?
Mm-hmm.
I want to wait.
Okay. Well, why don't we, it's 8:55. This is a pretty good stopping point. I don't want to get too far into something that we can't finish. So why don't we go ahead and break here for the week?
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, everybody,
Good.
everybody have a great week, rest of the week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
All right.
All right.
Michael. Good night,
Yep,
everyone.
Yeah, thank
This is Zero for the day. All righty. We'll see you guys.
Night.
Okay, bye. Good night.
Bye. Night.